If you don't mind me asking, Maria, I mean, the home's lovely. It's in a great geographic area. I don't need to tell you that. And I can see you did some upgrades in the kitchens and the baths. I mean, was there any particular reason you were even considering selling it?
Yeah, well, we wanted to downsize, maybe a mobile home.
I understand, and I appreciate your willingness to share that. The more you're willing to share, Maria, the better equipped I am to provide you with some information that could be helpful or useful in some way. Tell me this, because again, I'm here to help. I'm not here to talk you into doing anything. Is that something that's still important to you and your family, or have things changed forever?
It's still important, but if it's not going to happen sooner rather than later, then we're just going to hold off. But I really appreciate your call.
Oh, yeah, and I appreciate your kindness under the circumstances. I know you've been very popular today, and that wasn't the intention. I guess I'm wondering, though, as far as this move is concerned, like let's say that we knew that through no fault of your own or mine, if you made a decision to wait, which is perfectly okay, that you guys would have to kind of stay put like for a while, like a year, maybe two. Like, would that be okay with you? Could you make that work, or that's not ideal?
No, this is a two-story, and my niece cannot handle those stairs.
Yeah, that is something I hear, from families when the two-story kind of served its purpose and now it's becoming a little bit of a challenge physically. So I guess with that being said, honestly, I'm a little bit confused because the home's lovely. It's in a great area. What do you think stopped it from selling?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you asking. And usually when a home doesn't sell, there's usually a few reasons why. May I share them with you?
Sure, yeah.
Well, the first perhaps is, the previous agent, they weren't perhaps doing things that were aggressive and proactive to ensure that it sells. The second is the condition of the property, which I can see in the pictures, that's probably not it. And the third may be how it was positioned in the marketplace price-wise. It's usually one of those three or a combination of those three. I'm wondering, how did you happen to pick the previous agent?
Well, she's the one that sold us the home. She's helped the family several times. She's a great agent.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I certainly see why you guys felt that was a good idea. Now, being that this time around, this experience ended in you being on the market for 6 months and not selling, you strike me to be someone who understands the process pretty well. Like, what do you feel like maybe they should have been doing so you could do something simple, which is to sell this home, get to a single story, and simplify your life?
Well, it would have been great to get an offer or getting it sold, but I mean, I believe she did everything she could.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that in 6 months you didn't have one offer?
No.
And were they calling you every week, giving you updates, letting you know what's going on and how come it wasn't selling?
No, actually, I was calling them.
Well, let me be the first to tell you that you definitely deserve better service than that. So tell me this. If you knew that you could virtually be guaranteed to sell the property simply by augmenting the approach, is that something that you would still be interested in?
Well, I'd have to talk to my husband, but I think so. I don't see why not.
Well, yeah. And I'm wondering too, because I can hear in your voice that your desire is, very much so to still sell the property and, alleviate some stress from your knees going up and down the stairs. And when you guys had originally put on the market, I imagine you guys talked about it. I mean, does your husband feel equally as excited and motivated about making this move happen?
Absolutely.
If he knew that there was someone who could shed some light on this situation and help you get one step closer to making it a reality, I mean, obviously he'd want to speak to them, wouldn't he?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So just by you saying that demonstrates that we should get together and discuss the options. May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Well, based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, I'm hearing a couple things very clearly. The first is that you definitely still want to make this move happen. You've assessed the situation, you've lived here a while, the home has served its purpose, and now with the stairs, it's just becoming a little cumbersome and truthfully a little problematic, right?
Yeah.
And then the second thing I'm hearing from you is that through no fault of your own, you're not specifically clear as to why it didn't happen and what you need to change to ensure that it does. So what I'd like to do is this, and I really wouldn't mind because I'm in your area all the time anyway. I'd love to have the opportunity simply just to pop by, take a look, see what it has to offer in person. And while I am there, Maria, I can show you and your husband two things very clearly. The first is very clearly and specifically how come it didn't sell. The second is what needs to be changed in terms of those variables we discussed to ensure that it does in a reasonable amount of time. I can also bring with me properties like mobile homes that you can purchase in the area so you can get an idea of what that would look like. And then at least this way, whatever you decide to do, whether it's sooner or later, me or somebody else, you'll have all the most important information you guys need so you can make the decision that you feel is best as far as how to proceed. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, that does.
Yeah, I figured as much. So I'm looking here at my schedule. If we were to get together under normal conditions, are you and your husband typically available in the evenings or the afternoons?
Morning.
Let me check. Let me see here. Okay, I have another appointment and a closing. I can actually do Thursday. It would be late morning at like 11. Would that work for you?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, good. So what I'll do is I'll grab a pencil with a big eraser. I'll pencil it in for Thursday at 11. My assistant Carla will call you to confirm. Make sure you got an email we sent to confirm our time. If something comes up for you guys, if we need to change it or move it around, we can always do that. Now, before we connect, I just have a couple super quick questions to ask you just to make sure that I'm fully prepared and I can provide you with the most accurate information, be the best assistance to you guys when we do meet. And I'll be brief because I know your time is real valuable, and then I just go into prequel. So what are you aware of as I do that? Whatever you say is fine.
Well, you brought some good points. You reminded me of my motivation, and you kind of gave me hope. Like and it's not my fault. It's not anybody's fault. So I like the repeating or affirming, validating me, even at the point where I was like, she did a good job. The other agent, so I felt heard. You talked a lot, but it made everything you said made sense.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's conversational. I'm aligning with you. I'm providing you hope and certainty that you still can get it done. And then I'm just, asking for an opportunity to come connect. Yeah. Like, it's not that, again, like, I'm not saying specifically to you, but just like to everybody. It's not more complicated than that, guys. Yeah, my pleasure. It's just discovering what people's problems are. Then I asked, like, hey, if you notice, I was like, well, let's say that through no fault of your own or mine, if you made a decision to wait, that if you waited, you'd have to wait like, I don't know, 12, 18 months before you could sell it again. Is that something you were like, oh no. So now I know you're motivated, right?